Welcome back, everyone, to Open Line. Will President Trump be impeached for a second time? That's what we are talking about tonight. Happy to have with us as our guest Dr. Joel K Goldstein. He's a retired law professor, highly respected scholar of the vice presidency, and constitutional law. He's written a lot of books and been on all kinds of programs. Glad you were with us, joining us via Zoom from Massachusetts. I'm now going to just start taking calls. So if you're on the line, want to hear what you have to say, but we have a bunch of calls. So let's go to Linda. Hello, Linda.
Hello.
Go right ahead.
Okay. First of all, I certainly hope he's impeached. He has lied about everything since before he got in office, and it just amazes me that people believe him, especially the Christian people. Why they follow him so close. He is just an awful person. The way he has insulted people with disabilities, some of the dead people. He's an evil person, and how people believe his lies. I mean, he was even lying today. So I certainly hope he's impeached. So from what I understand, will he not lose privileges if he's impeached again?
All right, let's ask about that, and I believe you're exactly right. But what is, he's only in there 8 more days. Why impeach him?
Well, it's a good point that Linda makes, is that we talked about the prohibiting him from holding office in the future. We talked about the making a statement that what he did was outrageous. But Linda's absolutely right that he would also lose some of the prerogatives. I think his presidential pension, his office allowance, that sort of thing. Some of the perks that former presidents receive would be taken away from him.
Now, that's interesting about the pension. I didn't realize that. Would he get a presidential library? Do you know?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. Those are funded largely with private donations, although they're part of the National Archives system. So I'm not sure how that would work.
That's interesting. All right, let's go to Terry. Hello, Terry.
Yes.
Go right ahead. What is on your mind?
Okay. I totally believe the opposite. Who do we know that's after all the past presidents? Some of them have lied about this and that. I voted for Trump because he stood up for this country. I lost a good paying job, 300 and almost 400 of us, because they moved to Mexico. Everything that we buy now is made by China, just about. And what is wrong with bringing jobs back to this country? Keeping some of these other people out of here that want to come over here and kill us, and had the gall to stand up and just say, this is going to be for our people. Who would not want that? And there's mudslinging on both sides. Biden slinging it right back in his face. Don't forget, from day one, when he took office, the Democrats in the House started on him. They despise him. And a lot of this stuff, I believe, has been made up because of that.
Well, Terry, I appreciate that. And I know you're not alone. Now, what do you think about this most recent thing? Do you think that he should be even censured or whatever? Should there be any penalty to him for the speech he gave before those people went down there to the Capitol?
Well, now he does have an attitude. I realize that. He's strong-headed. He says what he thinks. But he hasn't played patty cake with all the other foreign countries. It's about this country. Yes, he should have kept his mouth shut on some things. But he's not the only one to blame about this. And also what all's going on in our country, I feel like it's a group of lawlessness generation coming up that don't want to abide by the rules anyway. So we cannot blame this all on Trump.
Okay. All right, Terry, thank you for your call. Thank you for your call. I don't know that you need to comment on that. If you have something, I'll go to another call. Do you want to jump in or just go to another call here? We have so many. Let's go to Joseph. Joseph, go right ahead.
Yes, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. What's on your mind?
Well, actually, there's a few things on my mind in regards to everything that's, culminated over the last year. In regards to the impeachment back last year, when he wasn't physically impeached, all of a sudden, COVID broke out. Yes, it was reported that it was there were COVID back in 2019, back in early November, December, but it didn't physically reach out until after the impeachment didn't go through. Now, Trump is a very good president. He does have a strong head on him as well. He's promised everything to us. And as regards to the impeachment, it cost us almost $12 million. Now, why should it cost us that much money for congressmen and women to do this impeachment? Why should it cost us?
All right, I don't know about that. That's an interesting. I appreciate your perspective. I'm going to ask on the factual nature of what you're bringing up. It costs $12 million is what he's saying. Is there a cost? Do you know about that, Dr. Goldstein? What about the cost?
Well, I don't know what the cost is, but I mean, certainly there's a cost in terms of people's time that's devoted to impeachment, both in the House and the Senate, both the members, the staff, the executive branch, the president, his attorneys, the time that's spent, the preparation and so forth. So certainly there's a cost to it. By the same token, it's a constitutional process that has to be voted on by the people's representatives. And, people on the other side could say, what is the cost that has been spent to, of people staying at the various Trump hotels on official business and so forth? Or what is the cost to the government of the president, playing golf at his resorts and things like that? So, I mean, it's interesting that in a way that the cost, my guess is that if you compare the cost of impeachment in dollar terms is compared to some of these other costs, that it wouldn't be very much. One can make arguments pro and con on impeachment. It just doesn't strike me that the cost is one of the more compelling ones, at least to me. Joseph obviously feels differently.
That's interesting. I hadn't thought of it from that perspective. I've always thought one of the more unfair stories that often gets done when any president comes to visit Nashville, whether it's Democrat, Republican, someone will usually do a story about how much it costs to have all of the police officers and that kind of thing protect him. And it always gets outrage from the other side. But that's interesting. All right, so we're going to take a break. We'll continue to take more calls. We'll be back right after this.